Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. You know, and I know everybody has their opinions. Everybody can feel the way they want to feel. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I thought yesterday's pay-per-view, Clash of the Champions, nowhere near the best pay-per-view of all time. Come on, let's not be crazy here. But at the same time, though, I didn't think it was really as bad as everybody's making it out. You know, I mean, again, granted, everybody has their opinion, but I thought the two matches of the night, to me, being the Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles match and the Intercontinental Championship match, I thought they did enough to carry the show to at least a 7.75 star, maybe 7.5 star if you want to take it down a star. I thought it was, relatively good. It was 5 matches, and you had one bad match, you had 2 pretty solid matches, and then you had 2 excellent matches. Again, in my opinion, but again, everybody has their own thoughts. But even regardless of how you felt about the pay-per-view, there's one thing, actually 2 things, and it's funny, again, it's one of those overshadowing situations when it comes to professional wrestling. Now, granted, it should be only one thing everyone's talking about, and that's the CM Punk Drew McIntyre drama that's now starting to build up. People are talking about, oh, they're gonna have a Hell in a Cell match. They better not have a Hell in a Cell match right now. Don't pull an AEW, which, by the way, we'll get into the comparisons as this video goes throughout. Trust me, we got more to say in regards to AEW as far as comparisons are considered. But no, unfortunately, one of those things, and probably the biggest thing being talked out of the show, was Damien Priest's botch. One of the biggest botches you'll ever see. And it's crazy to me how you have people who are actually coping so hard, saying things like, Devontae, you don't understand? This was done on purpose. Damien Priest damn near dislocating his knee was done on purpose. Him jumping over the ropes, and him damn near tearing every ligament inside his fucking leg in the main event of a show that literally serves no purpose. See, I understand, and I'm one to admit when I've gotten work. I've said it plenty of times. I got worked with the Finn Balor stuff a couple of months ago. Hell, I got worked like 2 days. What was it, like a week or 2 ago? Right? With the stuff that happened in NXT with Booker T. I'll be the first person to tell you that I got worked. I'll post it on my community post. I'll post it on this. But I'm very, very confident looking at the fact that Damien Priest nearly decapitated his leg, and it literally served no purpose at all. McIntyre did not work the leg, folks. If you watch the match, he didn't work the leg at all. It wasn't a work. Like, I get it. It's me in the end of the day, but I'm telling you, it's not a work. It's not a work. As a matter of fact, there have been updates, by the way, too, if you care to hear. Damien Priest, it's been said that he's okay. They still have to do a follow-up, but he had a limp. But apparently people are talking and they're saying that nothing was broken. There were no ligaments torn or anything like that. It hurt, but nothing really broke. So for a guy his age, I think he's in his 40s by now, his height, dude better count his lucky motherfucking stars. That could have been horrible, especially given the case that everybody nowadays seems that they're breaking their damn tibia, right? Either there's something going wrong with their leg or something wrong with their shoulder. I mean, what didn't Eddie Kingston, he's out for like a year plus, right? Because of a leg injury. Dakota Kai, I think she had a leg injury. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but Liv Morgan, didn't she have a leg injury? No, I could be wrong about that. Multiple people keep fucking up their legs. But these are circumstances when you look at the people who do these moves and you say to yourself, oh, okay, this is just a part of their style. It makes sense. They have the height. They have the dexterity in order to pull this off. Not saying that Damien Priest necessarily doesn't have it, but at the same time, these guys are young, they're small, and they're agile. Damien Priest, on the other hand, is not fast, or agile at the very least, 2 different things. Damien Priest is not young, at least relatively speaking to professional wrestling, and there was absolutely no need to put yourself in a catastrophic situation like this. You, my friend, are a world champion. Let me reiterate this one time. You are a world champion. You're not even a world champion for some rinky-dink bullshit promotion. And you're not a world champion for any indie promotion. You're not a world champion for AEW, which I guess constitutes as an indie promotion / rinky-dink fucking promotion. My point being this, though, you're a world champion for WWE. You're representing the Raw brand as the world champion. You are one of the more over acts in professional wrestling with the Judgment Day. When it comes to merchandise, when it comes to any type of statistics, don't let the nerds on the internet fool you just because they themselves don't participate in the whole Judgment Day stuff. It's pretty popular from a mainstream consumer standpoint. Don't let these nerds fool you. So why would you put yourself into a predicament like that? Now, see, granted, Damien Priest has me by like what, full decade, like probably 10 or 9 years. I would probably think to myself, if I was in Damien Priest's position, I would do everything, especially at this point. Homie, you've trained, you've done so much to make it to this point. At this point, Damien Priest has got to be making millions of dollars for the company, right? For the company and for himself. He's got to be in the $1 million range right about now, right? Why would you jeopardize the bag like that? To pop who? To pop who? You already made it to the promised land. You can do other things to pop the crowd without having to do these unnecessary things. If you would have connected that move, who the fuck would have remembered? This is what I keep saying, especially in a situation like this, bruh. Like, you do realize, I never understand why wrestlers, it's so illogical to me. Just to kind of sidetrack for a little bit, I never understood why wrestlers felt the necessity to want to go above and beyond the match when we all know the conclusion, right? The angle, right? The stuff that's supposed to be getting over afterwards. If it's strong enough, that's what everyone is going to remember in the end of the day, which ended up being the case. Now, unfortunately, Damien Priest flipping and damn near breaking his goddamn kneecap overshadowed maybe CM Punk. You can argue that. But had that not happened, CM Punk and his situation with Drew McIntyre, that would have overtaken everything. No one would be talking about Damien Priest doing a flip dive out of the ring. Hell, McIntyre did a flip dive out of the ring too, and he's just as big as Damien Priest, and no one's talking about that shit right now either. Why? Because it's an everyday occurrence from the small man. It's not even impressive anymore to see the big man do it, because the big man wrestled like the cruiserweights about 20 or 30 years ago. None of this shit is impressive. I keep trying to say this shit over and over and over again. Whether it's the glass spots, the tack spots, all this fucking table, the flames, the flips, the dives. This is why AEW is such a stale product at the moment, because you consistently keep throwing things at the wall, like this in particular, right? It's not even angles. People, and it's funny when you hear people have these positions about Vince Russo. Oh, you know, he just throws everything at the wall and he keeps going straight forward and straight forward and straight forward to the point where professional wrestling, it's so hard to even muster even a decent story, because there's some underlying fundamental factor that Vince Russo has already hit on, because he's done like maybe 100 stories within 2 weeks, right? He doesn't know how to slow down. He keeps throwing shit, way too many shits against the wall. So why the fuck, when you take that same logic and apply it to wrestling, it's a good thing. No one's bothered by it. Like when Vince Russo does it for storylines and angles and shit like that, then it's a huge problem. He's ruining professional wrestling because he just keeps fucking going well beyond that. No one's going to be able to top what he's doing. And he's taking way too many things, and he's just going through these things like they're fucking nothing, rather than sitting and honing on to one of those things as a legitimate story. But when it's wrestling and all they do is flip, kick, dive, and all this other shit, and they do it so fucking much to the degree that you can have a match. Look at this, bro. I now remember his name, Matt Taven. You had Matt Taven and Orange Cassidy have a Texas death match simply because they're in Texas, completely undermining all the other Texas death matches. That's what I mean. You did it because you could do it. But when it's Vince Russo who does it just because he's doing it, he's the world's he's the villain el numero uno, right? right? He's the guy who's ruining professional wrestling, but when you do it from a wrestling athletic standpoint, then, oh my God, it's the greatest thing in the fucking world. No, it's lame fucking internet. I like specific things because my group think tells me to like this specific thing. My Meltzer brain tells me to like these things, so therefore I like these things, right? It's bullshit. And you take that and you take it to the big man, and all I gotta say about this is, and again, no shade thrown to them whatsoever. You know, fuck that. Absolute, all shade, dark, all the fucking time. I mean, motherfucking eclipse these motherfucking kind of shade. AEW, leave that shit to them. Leave that garbage mentality of how they use their big man. Leave that shit to them. WWE, you are so much better than this. And yes, people are going to probably be like, Devontae, why aren't you bringing Damien? Fucker, go back to the beginning of the video. Yes, I blame Damien Priest. He is the number one priority. This isn't a school shooter situation where everybody likes to blame Congress or the NRA and, you know, you never blame the fucking shooter. No, I'm blaming the shooter. I'm blaming Damien Priest. He has number one priority when it comes to the blame. Right? But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend, I'm not going to ignore that agents and producers don't exist within WWE. And I would like to say that if you do happen to be a world champion, and maybe they have this written inside a guidebook, maybe they have this written somewhere, I don't know, but you need to protect your superstars from themselves sometimes. You know what I mean? You can't have them going out there doing all willy-nilly, right? You gotta put some guardrails on there, because you leave it up to a wrestler, they're going to do everything and anything they believe is going to get them over. Because the wrestlers, especially today, right? Before in the past, the wrestlers back in the days, they did everything in their power in order to cultivate their character strong enough where their characters within themselves could get the pop, right? The characters within the wrestlers themselves, that's going to do the majority of the legwork in regards of getting a reaction out of the audience. Therefore, you don't have to go out there and put your body on the line as much, right? It's like Hulk Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania X8. Make no mistake about it, right? People say to themselves, that's one of the best matches of all time. Is it one of the best matches of all time because, I don't know, it kind of resembles Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio? Huh? Does it mimic anything even remotely close to Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker? Huh? Does it resemble anything close to Bret Hart and Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, Ricky Steamboat or Randy Savage? None of these matches it even comes close to from an in-ring standpoint. But it was the emotion. It was the pomp and circumstances. It was the camera flashes. It was the trademarks of the match in itself. It was two icons, larger than life superstars, staring at each other in the middle of the ring. That right there. Once you're that good, once you're that in, once you got the wrestling fans to that degree, what the fuck does it even matter whether or not you do a 450 splash? It doesn't matter. Your star power, your image alone was good enough to get over the match. Therefore, everything else that comes after it doesn't fucking matter. At this point, all we care about is what the fuck is happening between these two superstars. Not the moves. No one cares about the moves. Hell, sometimes not even the results. We have the greatest of all time versus the greatest of all time in the middle of the ring. And obviously that's hyperbolic. You're taking it at its greatest strengths. You could use that same logic in any circumstances, right? You could look at someone like The Rock, for an example, even before Hulk Hogan, when he came out and he had the people's shirt, the Versace $500 Gucci shoes, the pens, the sunglasses, the trademarks, the standing on the ropes, all that shit. Austin sticking his middle finger, beard swiggling, telling Vince to go kiss his ass, middle fingers, swearing all over the goddamn place, right? Hogan, hand to the ear, all that other shit, right? You know, say your vitamins, eat your prayers, whatever. Eat your prayers. Burst! All that shit. John Cena, you can even argue to a lesser degree. Randy Orton, everybody had a trademark. My point being is, big man wrestlers, you have something built within you. And promoters need to understand this too. They have things built inside them. You want to hear one of the more recent feuds that I thought was actually pretty damn good, that probably had no injuries whatsoever built inside it? Maybe a couple of bruises and scratches, but that just comes with the territory when you're a professional wrestler. But think about Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns back in 2017, just to be a little bit more relevant for the kids nowadays. That was an awesome feud that no one really talks about anymore nowadays because professional wrestling just moves that fast. But when you bring up Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, like around the spring, summertime of 2017, a lot of people look back at that and they say to themselves, yeah, that was actually a pretty damn good feud for all intents and purposes. Those guys went out there and they tried to murder each other, right? Has some really fun angles with the ambulance stuff. You know, I'm not finished with you. You know, the ring breaking stuff with Big Show in between the Roman Reigns stuff. All that stuff happened with big men wrestlers without any thought of Braun Strowman having to go out there and do a suicide dive. That's what I'm talking about. Cultivate angles. Leave the big man wrestling stuff to AEW because they don't know how to book talent. They don't know at all what to do when it comes to creative. That is a company for marks, built by marks. This right here with WWE, it's more inclusive. I know, horrible, terrible buzzword to use nowadays. I hate it too, but using this actual purest definition, WWE is more inclusive, right? More diversity when it comes to the way of thinking about professional wrestling. Look at last night, for an example. Look at professional wrestling on NXT. So many women getting over, so many men getting over, doing multiple things as far as entangling and weaving and webbing everybody throughout the entire show. Everybody getting an opportunity because of their character, because of their work, because of what they bring to the table, because of their compatibility to other superstars on the roster. Not going out there and having Drew McIntyre having to do suicide dives or Damien Priest going out there having to do a shooting star. None of that. None of that is necessary at all. Like I said, leave that to the amateur. Leave that to the amateur and amateur, both, company. Leave that to the people who believe that having fucking 80 million goddamn fucking 5-star classes every damn year is actually practical and means anything. Let them leave themselves wide open to a bunch of injuries because they can't get over on character. They can only get over based off of what the fuck they do in the match in itself. They live by the pop and they live for the pop. They're like a person paying all their bills and living paycheck to paycheck. Rock and Hulk Hogan saved their money and they retired on their money, metaphorically speaking, right? Right? They made great investments, right? They have stocks, they have bonds, they have their credit cards maxed out to infinity and beyond, paid off and getting different type of coverages, right? For said credit card or debit card and getting better limits or whatever the case may be. It's like that. You made better investments and you have different avenues as far as what you can pick from as far as your money is concerned versus the wrestlers nowadays. They live paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck. They live for the pop. They don't give a shit at all what happens to their body as long as they get the pop. And I think professional wrestling is way more than that. Professional wrestling shouldn't be having their big men go out there and lose to small guys without any rhyme or reason. You have people like Trick Williams going out there and look at him. He's the underdog. He looks super nervous at the moment, staring around. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? I don't give a shit if Ilya Dragunov or Carmelo Hayes happen to be guys of veteran status, if you will, right? Like, they know what they're doing. They have more experience in comparison to a Trick Williams. That's fine, and you can tell that story as far as how they have an advantage, but you don't actively have someone like a Trick Williams who towers over these guys, looking concerned and, yeah, okay, I'm ready. This is my moment. I'm ready to do this. And then they go out there and have a regular match as if Trick Williams isn't like twice this guy's height. And then you intermediately try to fucking throw in little bit guys. But it's like, oh yeah, he's going to pick him up by the throw and throw him into the corner. No, fuck you, bro. You spent the entire goddamn match telling the story that this guy is intimidated by this guy, even though he's twice his size. And you want me to fucking believe that all of a sudden his power is going to be what plays into the match? Fuck out of here. You're contradicting yourself. And that's how they use the big man nowadays. That's how they tell the story with the big man. And then the big man, what they do is that they take that story and then they run with it. You know what's funny? Damien Priest being in this match right here, I had this phrase that I coined a couple of years ago, seeing this type of, booking. If you follow the channel long enough, you know what I'm going to say. It's the Gargano Priest effect. I call it the Gargano Priest effect. Based off of the matches that Johnny Gargano and Damien Priest used to have in NXT, where they were legitimately trading blows. It was a spot, I can't remember, at one of the shows that they had, where they're literally trading Mind you, Johnny Gargano he's smaller than Carmelo Hayes and arguably smaller than Ilya Dragunov, at least from a muscle mass standpoint. And he's in there and he's trading elbow shots with Damien Priest. It's some of the most unbelievable shit you could possibly ever see. The selling from the small wrestlers or selling from the big man wrestlers is such a lost art. It's such a lost art. All this shit overall is such a lost art. Whether it's the big man and their usage, or whether it's the big man and how they sell, and whether it's the big man and how they're actually looked upon by wrestling fans nowadays as nothing more than other average Joes who just happen to be more taller. It's a goddamn crime. And all it does is put your wrestlers in more predicaments where they can easily get hurt. And it's just even worse because you have a guy who happens to be your world champion, and you're just letting him go out there, do whatever he wants to do, not even a care in the world that there's a chance that he can end up skibbitying himself. But that's just my thoughts and my 2 cents. Like I said, Damien Priest is doing fine at the moment, at least from what we can tell. I don't think it's a major injury. He should be fine going forward just from the looks of it. We would have gotten some news by now if something actually really horrible happened. So good for him, and hopefully we can go forward and not do dumb shit in the middle of the ring for the sake of doing dumb shit. There's like, I get it. You know, you want to do a suicide dive over the ropes at The Undertaker, but you save that shit for the big events. Clash at the Castle with Drew McIntyre losing via CM Punk and the angle continuing as far as the progression with the story is not a big time match. That's not a big time match. The big time match would be against a CM Punk, where then you can validate a flip dive over the ropes. When that point came with a CM Punk, because that's the money match. You want to give people their money's worth on the money match. See how that works? Undertaker, suicide dive. After like the 90s, you didn't see it until WrestleMania. Because it's WrestleMania. You following me here? If you're not, that just means you're terminally 2024. And I can't save you from being terminally 2024. Rest in peace. Alright, that's my cue to get the fuck up out of here. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you fine folks later. A deuces and a P-eyes.